everyone. We're just going to give it a few more minutes as folks come on into the webinar. We'd love to know where you're coming from and where you're watching us on today's webinar. So feel free to let us know where you're logging in from in the chat. And again, for those who just joined, we're just going to get started momentarily. We're just letting some folks enter into the webinar. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. I see some folks in Colorado. Welcome, Colorado. I know at least one of our panelists is currently in, I believe at least currently in Colorado. I still see some folks coming in. Hello, Atlanta, Mr. Bill Nemeth. We're gonna get started in just a minute. I'm seeing some folks still coming in. For those who just joined, we'd love to know where you're logging in from. You can go ahead and let everyone know via the chat box. I did just put a welcome message in there as well. All right, well, it's 4:01, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Before we do, I just want to welcome everyone to today's NAEA EA Career Panel. And then please note that this webinar is being recorded. If you have a great time on this webinar and you want to share it, we'll be sending that link out afterwards, and you can watch it on YouTube. But we have a few quick housekeeping items before I turn it over. If you have any questions for our panel today, please use the Q&A box that you'll find on the bottom of your Zoom platform, whether that's your browser or on the actual app. This conversation is largely driven by your questions. So we would love to know, what are those burning questions and what can this panel do to help you? If you have any technical issues or any questions just about NAEA in general, go ahead and put that in the chat box. I'll be monitoring that throughout the webinar. And then just remember, you guys are already pros at it. I can see if you are typing in the chat box to everyone, make sure that you choose the everyone on your little drop down. If you just want to send a message to me or any of the panelists, you can do so by choosing hosts and panelists. All right, well, without further ado, I'm going to actually turn it over to Kelly Comegis, who is NAEA's Director of Membership.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. As Erin said, I'm Kelly Comegis. I'm the Director of Membership, and I joined the NAEA last year. I have a background in membership, associations, and business development. I just wanted to share a little bit of information about the National Association of Enrolled Agents. NAEA is the nation's leading community for tax practitioners, from aspiring enrolled agents to experts with decades of experience. We are really here to meet you on wherever you are on your career path. I wanted to highlight a couple of different categories of membership available to aspiring enrolled agents. We have an academic associate membership, which is free for students. We also have an associate membership if you are not a student, but currently working or studying for the C exam. And with the associate membership, we do offer Surgeon's EA Review Part 1 for free, and then the additional 2 parts at a very discounted rate. And we also have a special discount for anyone who's recently passed the C exam. It's $100 off of membership, and all new members also receive our line-by-line certificate program for free. If you have any questions about membership, I'll put my information in the chat. I'm happy to hop on a call or shoot me an email if you have any questions. We're here to help. We have a whole team of membership staff who would love to speak to you. Lastly, I just want to highlight a few scholarships that the NAEA Education Foundation has. One of those is for taking an exam review course, and one of the scholarships is also for getting reimbursed for the fees associated with sitting for the C exam. We will have another scholarship window open later this fall. We just closed our spring scholarship application window. So please look for more information from us this fall. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce our moderator for today, Catherine Bostock Hoodie. Catherine started the CBH Business Services, Inc. in 1998 after working for a manufacturing company for nearly 2 decades. She acquired a wide range of experiences in the finance department, starting as a financial analyst and through the years being promoted to plant controller. When Catherine started CBH Business Services, Inc. in 1998, her focus was on individual and business income tax returns and bookkeeping for small businesses. She became an enrolled agent in 2005 and an NCPI fellow in 2012, and has served as the NAEA Education and Membership Committees. She's also a past president of the Northern New England Society of Enrolled Agents. Catherine was elected to the NAEA Education Foundation Board of Trustees in 2015. Catherine received her associate degree in business administration from SUNY Adirondack in Queensbury, New York. She continued her education and received her Bachelor of Science degree in business administration from Green Mountain College in Pulteney, Vermont. Catherine also taught the tax compliance course as an adjunct professor at SUNY Adirondack for 4 years. Catherine, I'm going to turn it over to you. Take it away.
Well, thank you. That was quite an introduction. It sounds like I have quite the breadth of experience here. And I have to say that since I started the business in 1998, I really have achieved a lot of things. And I've been a member of NAEA since 2010. And through involvement at both with my local affiliates, I'm a dual member of the Northern New England Society of Enrolled Agents, and I'm also a member of the New York Society of Enrolled Agents. And being involved with the affiliates and being able to network with the people in my communities, including Corrine, who is from New York. You know, I've gained a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and developed a lot of friendships over the years. And NAEA has been a big part of that development. So I have to give a shout out to the organization for that. I am the moderator of today's event, and I've been involved in these career panels in my former life as chair of the Board of Trustees of the NAEA Education Foundation. Just recently, I became the past chair of the foundation, and Bill Nemeth is the new chair of the Board of Trustees. I continue to serve the NAEA Education Foundation, and I look forward to helping with scholarships and other items that the Education Foundation could use my services for. So having said that, I'm going to introduce the panelists and ask each of the panelists, as I call them out, to tell us about themselves and when and how they decided to become an enrolled agent. I'd like to start with Kyra.
Hello. Hi, I am Kyra Barrett, and I got my enrolled agent's license in late 2020. COVID kind of slowed me down a little bit. I started in the tax resolution industry as a midlife crisis career change, and came from the mortgage industry after 23 years. I made a switch in industries and came over to the tax side. And I knew immediately upon starting in this industry that it was something that I was going to really enjoy. And I decided to get my license straight out of the gate. There was no question for me that this was a good fit.
Excellent. Mark Harrington is our EOA candidate. Could you tell us how you got into the business and how you learned about becoming an enrolled agent and deciding to do that?
Thank you, Catherine. I'm Mark Harrington, owner of Accurate Tax Financial Service. My wife and I started that business in 2010. Been in construction most all my life, so I'm a late bloomer when it comes to taxes as far as catching on, I would say. But it was due to an accident that we converted over. I decided, well, construction industry, and the part that I'd been in was bookkeeping, management, running businesses. And so I said, why not just get into the accounting and the tax part of it? And I happened to go online in 2010 and found a lady close to my city in Georgia that had a little YouTube clip on how to become a tax preparer. And I promise you, it didn't cover everything. So from that, we started doing accounting and bookkeeping and taxes and guiding people the best we could. We grew pretty good until 2019. And we had some health issues in the family. So my wife had some strokes and that set us back. So we tried to go virtual, lost a lot of W-2 clients, and then got hit with COVID and really did not recover all of our clients. But at the same time, we moved forward, and we now focus more on trying to guide people with small business and startup companies, and get their books in order and help them to get the best advantage on their taxes and move them into their taxes from their books. So that's where we're focused now. What is driving me more, we know that knowledge is power, and I've always wanted to go on and pursue the EA. And I didn't know I was going to wait till I was drawing Social Security, but here I am, and never too late, right? So I joined up with Tax Mama's class. Excellent. I realize I've become software dependent, and I'm just learning so much. About to take my first Part 1 test, and I'm ready to get it behind me and advance into more of a tax resolution after this. That's what I really want to focus on. Thank you.
Now we go on to Corrine, who I've had the pleasure of working with.
And the same here, Catherine. It's always a pleasure whenever we get together, But, my story is not your normal, I moved to the US in 1986 from Barbados, and 2 weeks later, I found myself working in a tax office. What do I know about taxes? Absolutely nothing, because, this is not what we do. We don't have the same model. And my job was really to answer the phones, schedule appointments, and that was it. But what you found is that people would ask you questions as though you were the preparer, and I'm like, I have no idea. So I'm going back and forth, between the preparer who don't want to speak to them, because if they got them on the phone, forget it. So I'm trading off information, telling them all this stuff and getting all the answers. And funny thing is, you're learning, right? But that was just supposed to be a temporary tax season job. And after the first tax season, they call me back and say, oh, do you want to work again? And I'm like, sure, I loved it. And that grew into a permanent job where I was there working. And one day my boss said to me, and I began from just answering phones to entering the W-2s, 1099s. And I thought it was so interesting. I'm like, I can do that. Can I help? I was so eager to learn that one day my boss said, Corrine, you can do this by hand, can't you? And I was like, sure. So she gave me a tax form and she said, why don't you just fold that out by hand? And I was so ashamed of myself, because I'm like, what? I don't know how to do this by hand. It was so difficult that I realized that all I was doing was data entry. And I told myself, no, I'm going to go learn this stuff. I need to understand what I'm doing. So I studied for a little bit, and then I took the EA exam in 1998. And Catherine, you reminded me that back then, We had to do it all in 2 days. There was no like, do it now, one part, next part, no. But we had to get it all done within, you know, a 2-day period, have it all be done. And I successfully completed that exam. And 18 years ago, I opened my own tax practice in Manhattan. I started out with about 400 clients, and now I'm over 1,000 clients. So my office is in New York City. I am, second VP of the New York State Society of Enroll Agents. I'm also president of the Brooklyn Queens chapter, and I recently got appointed as director of NAEA. So I have been busy with this organization. I love our society, and I'm really passionate about the education section of what we offer with NAEA. So I'm one of the biggest cheerleaders when it comes to getting people who can become EAs, because I feel this is really a viable profession. You can certainly start your own business. Forget about being a CPA, not knocking it, but you know what? It is the fastest track to being your own boss and running your own practice, becoming an enroll agent. And I love it. I love what I do. I love my clients. It's a very, very rewarding job, very rewarding. And I'm happy to be part of this.
Kyra, are you in your own business or do you work for a firm?
No, I work for Omni Tax Solutions, and that's who I started with in 2019. And I have no plans of, working for anybody else or myself. I love working for Omni. It's a great company.
Excellent, excellent. And I heard, Mark, that you and your wife started your own firm. Tell us a little bit about starting your firm, and do you have any employees? Is it just you and your wife?
We do not.
You do not have any employees?
No, well, my daughter does do some of the book work. And so we were doing mostly the work together, and she was doing all the W-2 work, and I was doing mostly the business forms. And so we've cut back a lot on the W-2s. We're mainly in the business tax forms now.
Okay. Kelly, during her intro of me, I started my business in 1998, individuals and businesses. And like you, I do a lot of S Corps and partnerships. And as a result, I do the individual returns from the partners and the shareholders. So, and I have a pretty diverse client group where, I have some restaurants, I have, a couple of people that are in the construction trades, medical. I don't really have a one size fits all as far as what particular type of client that I'm looking for. When I started back in 1998, it was just me, myself, and I doing it. And at this point, I have 2 full-time employees that work for me, and I have 2 part-time employees that work for me. My firm does about 350 tax returns a year. Now, I heard Corinne say that, she has a much larger base than I do. So tell us a little bit about what you've got going on with that, Corinne.
Oh, well, I have with COVID, we've had to change a little bit of our business model. I have one person who is working from home, doing most of our bookkeeping work. And I have a total of 4 staff members who are working here. It's been a challenge. It's amazing how hard it is to find people. I just had to hire another new person, to join us. But we are focused on a lot of individual returns. We have a lot of clients that we do their business returns. We do payroll taxes. We do sales taxes. We're doing the bookkeeping work. I like that if I'm doing a, a business return, I like to know that I can also have the books that I'm doing for them, or even if I'm doing a business return, I'm not doing the books. I want to be able to have access to the books because I just don't want a P&L on the balance sheet. I need to see everything. So we work with a lot of clients where we're actually either doing after the fact bookkeeping work for them. The majority of it is like that, or we're just doing reconciliations every quarter and then doing the tax returns. So we are busy all year long. The bookkeeping does keep us very busy throughout the season, and the extensions have been endless. So yeah, we're pretty busy. So if you know of anybody who's looking for a job, who's an EA, with some experience, please send them my way.
So Kyra, you said that you've stated that you work for Omni. Tell us the types of things that you do for Omni.
Well, so when I first started with Omni in 2019, I was an administrative assistant. So my associate, which is what my role is now, she would do the resolution part of things, and I would at that time handle collecting the financial documents, calling the clients for miscellaneous items that she needed, and she did the meat of the resolution. Now that I have my license as well, I am an associate with my own team. I've got my own book of clients, my own assistants, and so now I'm doing what she did, and calling the IRS, working on resolutions, working with revenue officers, handling state cases as well as they come up. Right now we seem to have a lot of state cases, but either way, I'm handling the meat of the case at this point with the resolutions and working on negotiations for my clients.
So when you talk about resolutions, which is another aspect or facet of what an enrolled agent does, can you explain a little bit more about the resolution and what we're talking about specifically here? Is it CP 2000s? Can you talk a little bit about the notices that your clients
Sure.
bring in and just exactly how you deal with clients and so forth?
Yeah, absolutely. So Omni doesn't do any tax prep. So whereas Mark and Corrine handle tax prep for their clients, Omni is only resolution. So we have clients that owe balances to the taxing authorities, whether it's the state or the IRS. And, we will contact those taxing authorities and work with them to either secure a payment plan for the taxpayers, or if we have a taxpayer that qualifies for the offer and compromise program, we will negotiate an offer and compromise. Penalty abatements. If the taxpayer qualifies for penalty abatements, then we will work on negotiating those. We run the gamut whenever it comes to securing a resolution for our taxpayers. And a resolution is something that resolves the debt, whether it's through a payment plan or not collectible status, or like I said, an offer, whatever that resolution is, we will negotiate that with the taxing authorities. 99.9% of the time it's going to be financially based. What can this taxpayer afford? And then depending on whether it's the IRS or the state, there's different resolution options available. But okay, so this is what the taxpayer could afford. Will the taxing authority accept this? All right, well, that's where our negotiations start. So, the art of negotiation comes in a lot every day with what I do. So Omni is a little bit different than, like I said, Mark and Corrine and what they do as far as them focusing also on the tax prep. So the resolution side is really interesting. It's fascinating, in fact.
I happen to agree with that. I do a little bit of resolution, but I'm mainly in the tax preparation and bookkeeping end of things, very much like Corrine.
Yes.
Clarice Landreth does have a question for you, and she wants to know if you've had any return preparation experience before taking and passing the special enrollment exam.
Other than doing my own taxes, no. No, I had no experience in the tax industry. I mean, coming from mortgages, you know, I was a mortgage lender, held my license in multiple states to, you know, provide mortgages to people, and we would review tax returns. So in that respect, I was familiar with what to look for, whether it was a business return or an individual return. But the actual prep of tax returns is something that I have never done.
There is a question from Jeremy, and he is asking for a new EA. What programs do you use to market your business and build up your clientele? We'll start with Mark on that one.
Well, we have used word of mouth is absolutely the best. And of course, now social media is a tremendous help. And also we use local papers here. We shopper's paper that goes into every home. And so we ran ads in it and really did a lot for our marketing. We grew to almost 300 clients before we had a few setbacks, but I think word of mouth is the key. If you get one person, you will get a family and family members, and that has helped us a lot in that regards.
Corrine?
Yeah, I have to agree with Mark. You know, I am, you know, when you become a new EA, it's in this business, let's think about this. It's like becoming a doctor. If you have an issue, you're not going to go into the yellow pages or go online and look for a doctor. You're going to go and ask for a reference. You want somebody who's had an experience with our doctor. And taxes is a very intimate thing. So most people want a referral. I personally do not take people who say, oh, I found you on the internet or I looked you up, because I'm very skeptical, and we know people come up with bogus information. And if they do, they get put through a very thorough line of questioning to verify that they are indeed legitimate, right? But word of mouth is the best. Your best advertising is the great job you do for your clients. And if your clients are happy, they will tell everybody else about you. But if you're a new EA, you don't have a clientele, you're not going to be able to say, oh, well, I can't get referred because I don't have clients. You need to be able to establish yourself with a preparer, work for someone so you can build your own clientele. And that is how you're going to be able to get people who are going to get confident in you. Because when I worked for my former employer, I became that person who, like, you know, it's a doctor's office. I was the nurse. You come in, I prepped you, and then you go see the boss. So the clients would say, well, Corrine, I came and I sat with you. Then I go see the boss. Well, my return didn't change. Why do I need to see her? Why can't I just stay with you and have you do my return? Makes no sense. I have to wait another maybe 20, 30 minutes to sit with her, and the numbers do not change. So from there, I started building up where I started to take my own clients, because the clients were, you know, the clients realized that, hey, you know what you're doing. You know, we can work with you directly. And they started referring people to me, and then referring people to me, and then referring people to me. And eventually, when I wanted to leave, you know, we came to an arrangement and I bought out my clients. I left with clients. I didn't just open a business not knowing where my clients were going to come from. So if you're new and you want to be in this business, you want to be successful, I recommend you work with an office. You can gain the experience and you can gain a clientele that you can then develop from that. It's going to be very difficult to find people, open the doors and not have people and just want the people to walk in, because you're looking at what level of clients, what quality of clients are you looking for? That you have to determine. So it's important to really start by working with someone before you decide to step out and do it on your own.
Kyra, how do you attract new clients, or how does the company you work for attract new clients for your resolution?
That's a great question, because the resolution world is a little bit different than the prep world, in that if we have one client, we don't necessarily get the whole family, because not everybody's going to owe a tax debt. So that changes it a little bit. Omni actually has a sales department that will, that their only job is to seek out new clientele. That being said, Within my team, I actually have had existing clients of mine that have know somebody that has a tax debt. So I'll get referrals from my existing clients, as well as CPAs that I work with. I've got one in particular that we have a really good relationship back and forth. And so, word of mouth is also going to, or referrals are also going to be effective in the resolution world. For Omni, though, most of our new clients do come from what the sales team generates.
I absolutely agree that word of mouth is absolutely the best. But when you're a new person out there and you don't have a large book of business, I'm going to tell you what I did, because I'm an accountant. I am not a salesperson. I have a hard time going out there and selling myself, because that's not who I am and that's not what I do. So I joined my local Chamber of Commerce. I joined the Adirondack Regional Chamber of Commerce in upstate New York. And I started going to their networking events. And when they started having business showcases, I booked myself a table, and I put pamphlets out on the table, like taxpayer record keeping and divorce and taxes, and I had various and sundry pamphlets that I put out on the table. And it wasn't that I necessarily expected that I would pick up business from the events, but I actually needed to get my face out there so people knew exactly who I was and what I did, so that if they had a need, they'd say, aha, I know somebody that does that. And that's how I actually started getting business, because I became known for doing that. And that's how I've built up a very successful business over the period of time that I have been in business. Okay, I hope that answered Jeremy's question. So going back to Mark, have you sat for any parts of the EA exam yet? And if so, which parts have you sat for? And if not, which one are you planning on doing?
Did you say part of the test? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes. Next week, I will be testing on part 1. Just finished the studies of part 1. And then we'll be studying part 2 starting this week. So I think part 1 is going to be my most challenging because there's so much memorization, and I'm more familiar with part 2 and different types of LLCs and partnerships. But I think it's a challenge going back and learning to study again. But I'm looking forward to the test. I'm not afraid of taking tests, and so I like a challenge.
And I think I heard you say earlier that you took Tax Mama's course. Is that what I heard you say earlier?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What program did you use to study for the exam?
I'm enrolled with Tax Mama, and excellent material. I like the format. I like her teaching instruction. That she pours a lot into each class, and just stuff that I haven't even faced with clients. So it's been a learning experience, and so I think it's an excellent study, and I'm glad I'm pursuing it.
Kyra, did you use any materials to study for the enrolled agent exam?
I did. I was afraid you were going to ask me to, because for the life of me, I cannot remember. I can't remember the platform that I used. It was an online platform. It'll probably come to me at about 3 o'clock in the morning. But I can't remember what I used. I'll think about it, but it was an online platform, and it was great. Much like Mark, at my age, I had to learn how to study all over again. And so I think that there's so many great platforms out there, and you just have to find one that works for you. If Tax Mamas works for Mark, I think that that's fantastic. The one that I used worked for me, and there's just so many platforms out there that you can use.
Corrine, did you use any materials to study for the C exam when you took it?
Well, hello, 24 years ago, we didn't have, a lot of technology, online versions of stuff. You went down to the books and you studied every tax book there was. I mean, I can't even remember what materials it were, but let me tell you, it was not on any computer. It was nobody teaching me anything. It was strictly reading those books. And at the end of each of those books, answering the questions and going through the questions and seeing how many of them you got right. And when you got one wrong, you'll ask somebody in the office, oh, can you explain that part to me? So that's what it was. So today it's so much better because there's so much out there. There's Gleim. A lot of people I know have used Gleim and been very, very happy with it. So, but yes, there's so much more different educational tools that people can use to sit the EA exam that, so yeah, but back then, no, it wasn't that easy.
Well, I have to tell you that I am probably the original pack rat. And I just threw the books away from when I did the enrolled agent exam in 2005. I will tell you that I used the Gleim course, and I had 4 books that I used. I'm very happy to say that Tax Mama, Gleim, and Surgent are all sponsors of scholarships for the Education Foundation, and they all have such wonderful programs for people to learn to become or to be able to take the enrolled agent exam. Kyra, you said that you've done your own tax return, but as you're doing the resolution, are you learning more about taxes, or are you just strictly staying in a resolution lane?
No, for sure. I mean, when we're working on resolutions, we're reviewing the returns that, people like Mark or Corrine have prepared. And, I'm definitely learning more about what to look for on the returns, how it might impact the resolution. There's certain things that we can look for as to whether or not this business is going to, be able to be shut down officially with the IRS or not. How would that impact my client, the individual, or the business. So there's a lot of things that I am learning when it comes to tax returns. In preparation of my own, I actually did have my own catering business for a while. I was a personal chef, and so I did prepare a Schedule C. So in that respect, I know how to. I do know how to do a Schedule C, but when it comes to the corporation returns, that was definitely something that was foreign to me. That was very, very new. That being said, part 2 of the test was obviously the hardest one for me because it wasn't something that on me, we don't prepare taxes. So that was the most challenging section of the 3 tests for me. But yeah, absolutely learning a lot about taxes and tax prep, and things that I never in a million years thought that I would have this knowledge in my brain on, what corporate returns look like, what I'm looking for as it pertains to resolution, all those things, loans to shareholders, like, what was that? You asked me that 4 years ago, I couldn't have been able to tell you. But now I can tell you what all those things mean. And that knowledge has been incredibly useful in helping me to be more effective in my job.
Excellent. Corrine, where do you see yourself going from here?
Love tax prep. I mean, I love what I do. What I love about it is that every day I am never sure what situation is going to walk into my office and what I'm going to learn. Because you may be surprised how much your clients know more than you when something is near and dear to them. And they'll come in like, oh, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I have to look that up because I was not aware of that. And so with my clients, it's become where I'm not just someone who prepares their taxes. I'm their therapist. I'm their advisor. I'm their friend. I know their children. So this is what I love about what I do. You are forging relationship with your clients that goes beyond just preparing their taxes. I mean, right now my wall is full of babies. Everybody comes like, everybody wants to make sure they send me a picture of their baby so I can put it on my wall, right? And so when the kids come in, they're like, oh, mom, here I am, and they're looking to see, that their kid is up there, they've made the wall. But that's what is so great. And, and as Mark says, you get one client, and I started out with the clients, I got them as single, I have them married, they have children, I'm doing their children's taxes, and I'm constantly going, wait a second, I am doing your child's tax return on you. You think I'm not that old. You guys must be getting, they're just growing. I'm not getting old, because it's realized that you have this legacy of clients that you have started with from, generation to another generation and then to another generation. And those relationships that you're building, it leads to this wealth of satisfaction. And you see the clients grow and you feel so blessed to be part of that whole journey they have because you've contributed to that client's success. And trust me, you cannot get anything better than having that satisfaction. And when you look at it, you said, well done, and so I don't see myself wanting to do anything other than what I do. I mean, we do help clients. Yeah, they get notice. We do representation. They get a notice we have to do it. They get an audit. We're there with them, so we're doing it all, right? But to me, that tax part of it, it's the best. And the relationship makes it so rewarding. So rewarding. Absolutely.
Mark, what's next for you and your firm?
Next for me, I think, is to utilize more of the opportunities to help startup companies and get them on the right track. That's really our focus in the next few years. Not as many clients. As I've said, we've cut way back on clients due to COVID and going virtual. But I'd really like to see the future be where these local people that need resolution help, I don't have to turn them away. That's the area that I would really like to get into, not being afraid to call the IRS for them. I get clients that may be in a situation, file taxes in a while, and they get in an issue, and I just don't feel comfortable. I always refer them, and it's getting harder in this area to refer because there's just not a lot of local people that are doing resolution. So I can't wait to get my EA. It's gonna, I'm 62 and I don't have a title at the end of my name. So I'm gonna get one. And so I want to finish this and get it done and be able to see larger S corps and clients that are doing well, help them if they get into an issue, and not only do their taxes, but say, hey, I qualify.
Yes.
I don't have to turn you away. I don't have to give you to somebody else. Now I can go to the IRS for you. I've been to the IRS for myself twice and did very well, but it was for myself and my own businesses over the years, and came out very good with those audits. But I didn't hire anybody. I just took my knowledge and did it, and went to the bookstore and learned what I was going to face. But I just want to, when I do something, I want to do it right. I don't want to guess at what I'm representing. And the EA study material is opening me up to a whole new world of that. And I appreciate it.
This is a question that goes out to Kyra and Mark, because as I've listened, both of you have talked about resolution. Are either one of you aware of the NTPI fellowship program that NAEA offers, and is that something that you would be open to taking in the future?
I'm not familiar with it, but I am always open to expanding my knowledge and helping me to be better at my job.
Karine, I think you're an NTPI fellow, are you not?
Actually, no, I am not an NTPI fellow.
You are not.
No, it's one of those things where I'm like, I thought about doing it, and I'm, and if nothing else, it's one of those things where I would definitely do it just for the knowledge of doing it, So it's been one of those things where I've been like, oh yeah, I really should do this, and then I look around and I'm like, oh wait a minute, I missed that part of it. So certainly I can see myself becoming an NTPI fellow.
I have to say that I am an NTPI fellow. I started the program in 2010 and became an NTPI fellow in 2012. And it was a 3-part program, and maybe Aaron or Kelly can talk a little bit more about this, but it was a program for resolution, and part one was, the basics of resolution. Part two was a group thing where and part two was a lot of fun because it was a lot of interacting and networking with fellow EAs. And then part three was a little bit more advanced. Again, I did it in 3 years, but I think you can do it a lot quicker than that. But if you want to know about a lot more about resolution, it's a good boots on the ground, get you going, learn a lot of stuff so that you do not make mistakes when you're doing resolution work on behalf of your clients. I found it to be extremely valuable, even though I don't do a ton of resolution. So I think it would be worth looking into if that's the direction you're headed in with your practice. And I see that Clarice Landreth is on the chat, so she would be extremely knowledgeable about that. So Karine, you're a member of NAEA, you're on the board of directors. How has being a member of the organization assisted you in being an enrolled agent?
Oh, you talk about the networking aspect of it. I will tell you that I have really had a lot of great people who have certainly contributed to the success of my business. You can't do this alone. And that is what I love about NAEA and YSSEA is you have a family of thousands of members who are willing to weigh in, and you ask questions and they are there to support you, right? Because we don't all know everything, and it is really great to know that you can put a question out there, you may get all different kinds of opinions, and you will, but people are so willing to support you, and they're happy to see you succeed. And that is what it has been for me, especially with, NYSSEA, it's like this family bond we have with our members. We know each other, and it's really the best thing you can have. I don't know, and there are probably lots of organizations that you feel the same way about, that can give you that same support, but I find that the people with this organization, they're so generous with their time. That is one of the things I found, that even during tax season, there's always somebody who's willing to, answer your question, because they know it's crunch time. Yes, we're all busy, but they're not hesitating to help you with that. And I love that about our members. There's some members who you can count on, For sure, you have a question. If they know, they'll step up. If they don't, they'll say, oh, check with such and such a person, or here's a link to the website that can help you. That's the difference that you get. And that's what I love about it. You know, so definitely a great organization. For the time I became an EA, you knew you became an EA, and the next thing you do is you became a member of NAEA. That was how it worked. You know, you're an EA, next, you became a member of NAEA. That's what you needed to have happen. Everything else came after, you know. So I think from the time I became an EA, I have been a member of NAEA from that time till now. Yes.
Ira, do you have anyone that you can go to? Do you go to any local affiliate meetings? Do you have any local or national support to help you with your journey?
So Omni actually has a huge support system within our company. We have a longtime NAEA member who is our guru with Omni, and I go to her a lot with questions when they come up. She's a fantastic resource. My boss, my immediate supervisor, has had her license for 20 some odd years. She also had to take it by paper back in the day. So I've got, you know, and then my boss right above that, 15 years. So within my organization alone, I have a massive support system, great resources. That being said, though, as an EA, I haven't gone to outside sources for additional questions. Having held other licenses, I can speak to tapping into those resources, because here you have this organization that has, you know, thousands and thousands of members, and they have all this knowledge in their brain, and they're just waiting to share it with somebody. So, you know, as an NAEA member, newly member, by the way, I haven't been a member for very long. I am looking forward to being able to, you know, seek out some connections within the organization. If there is something within my organization that I'm not able to find an answer for, I love having that opportunity to seek out the answers to other knowledgeable representatives. That's a fantastic resource that an organization like NAEA has to offer.
Well, and hearing that you're a new member, I think somewhere at the beginning of this, I said I was a dual member for Northern New England and New York State. But I will tell you that I attend events for New Jersey, and I've also attended events for Georgia. I love the virtual events because it means that I can interface with a whole group of people that, unless I go to the national event, I probably wouldn't get to interface with on a real regular basis. And people across the country are just, you know, as Corinne said, are so generous with their time that, you know, all I have to do is pick up the phone, even at 2 o'clock in the morning, and somebody will answer, and they will answer my question. I'm thinking of one individual in New York State in particular, but yeah, very generous. Mark, have you been able to attend any local events or have a support network?
I do, and going back to a statement I made about not having a title at the end of my name, I did have a title, but it kind of drifted away, RTRP. I did achieve that title, but I don't know that it has much weight now. But when I did study for RTRP, I did it through GLIME, just did it on my own and passed it. And of course, there wasn't a support. Our classes now, there's a tremendous support group with Tax Mama's study class. I thought, well, I'll go back and do GLIME, or either I'll do Lambert's, but then she offers that. So I do with live instruction, and I've got support, and we're together in classes. We talk to each other, encourage each other. And it just seems like it's going a lot better than me just hitting GLIME and doing it. GLIME's excellent. It did get me through the RTRP, but I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of a group and the support there. Of course, I've been to forums. I use Drake software. They're tremendous about putting on classes and giving support in areas of updating tax information there. That I'm getting and learning the different people that are trying to achieve what I'm trying to achieve and move forward into a new area of taxation.
Well, that's great. Do any of our panelists today have any final comments for our audience?
I see someone is asking about the summit in Vegas. I see a question here. Someone is asking if the summit is more for advanced preparers.
Hi, Corinne. Yep, I actually answered that in the
Okay.
chat.
Okay,
But
great.
the tax summit is going to be ranging all levels of learners. So your main tax summit education is focusing more on mid to advanced, and the practice management sessions are focusing more on entry to mid-level. But an advanced person can obviously learn from them as well and get a refresher.
Well, I would really like to thank all of our panelists today. I would again like to thank everybody, and I'd like to thank the Education Foundation sponsors for scholarships, which is Tax Mama, GLIME, and Surgent. As Kelly said earlier, we just finished a scholarship offering, and we will be doing another one in the fall. And please, you know, I believe the website is naea-ef.org. Please go out there and visit our website and apply for those scholarships. We also offer scholarships for Prometrics testing fees. So, you know, we would love to have you apply for the scholarships, and we'd love to have you get involved with NAEA. Kelly, any further comments?
Thanks, Catherine, and thank you to all of our panelists today. We also want to thank everyone who's in the audience for your participation and your interest in learning more about the EA career. I do have one program coming up that I wanted to share. We have a partner webinar put on by Surgent next month on July 12th. It's a deep dive into their Pathway to EA program. They'll talk about products they offer, a discount to NAE members, and steps to becoming an EA. Erin's going to drop the link to register in the chat. So I highly encourage you to attend and to reach out to any of the staff at NAEA if you have any questions. This concludes today's program. Thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.
Enjoyed
Yes,
it.
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.